Well, thanks again, everyone, for coming. I think I'm going to get started with our intro. Again, today we are having our host, John Ezzo, as our speaker, personal brand and storytelling, how to talk the talk. Thank you for joining us, John. But before we get started, I just wanted to welcome you again. My name is Heather Goswage. I'm one of the program leaders, along with my colleague Iris Weinstein, Vice President of Business Development here at ISSA. So you will be hearing from us. So our goal is to help you tell your story and have a brand presence so you can stand out in your role in future roles to come. Created to build a community of young professionals who are ongoing, trying to do professional development, engagement in cleaning and facility solutions industry. And we highly encourage you to participate in ISSA programs, find mentors, connect with peers. And a highlight of this program is the annual Emerging Leaders Awards are coming up at the ISSA show. But this year we've received more than 100 nominations and selected our top 30 finalists already. So these winners will be announced publicly coming in the next few weeks. So stay tuned to hear that exciting announcement. But remember, even if you're not one of the award winners in 2025, you can still be nominated again next year. Plus, you can still take full advantage of all the programming and events, training, networking opportunities for young professionals throughout the rest of the year and in 2026. So the award ceremony and the awards are just an extra perk, but you can still take advantage of all of the programming and networking available to you. So please stick around. So here are the upcoming education and events. Speaking of the programming, Iris and I are already building out a dynamic lineup for 2026 with even more opportunities on the way. So if you scan the QR code to visit the Emerging Leaders webpage for updates throughout the year, and you can see posts of our emerging leaders in the wild, we like to call it, actively engaging in events, training programs, and other things across the industry. So getting the most out of today, I'm going to ask you to make sure to keep your questions in the Q&A. We will be doing a Q&A at the end of the webinar, and put comments and things in the chat for interaction. We are encouraging active participation, so utilize the activity document. I think Martha has put that in the chat to download. Please download that here right now if you can. It's in the chat. Use that and then use the raise your hand feature so that we can unmute you so we can do that active participation when that portion of the presentation comes. And we highly encourage you to interact throughout the whole year with one another. So if you see one another in the chat, say hello, try and link up on LinkedIn, come to the events. We'll all get to know each other throughout the year, and have a really excellent network. All right, John, I think I'm done with my intros. I'm gonna let you take it away.
Okay, thank you, Heather. Thank you so much.
Sure.
So 24 years ago today, I was in my office with Arnold Andrews, who's a certified minority cleaning contractor. We were working on the RFP for the new Delta terminal at the Detroit airport when we got the news of what happened today 24 years ago. I always have said that New York is my favorite city in the world, so I felt compelled to do something. So we couldn't fly there, so we drove there, over 10 hours from Detroit. I also knew and heard that you couldn't volunteer at Ground Zero unless you were a New Yorker, but I talked my way into the Red Cross tent, and they let me run snacks and bottled water and things down to Ground Zero, but I couldn't stay. I could just run back and forth. So that was a way in which I could contribute to the city that I love at a difficult time. So that's me 24 years ago. And I am happy to be with you today. I am a former building service contractor and a former president of BSCAI. I've done numerous speaking engagements with the association and ISSA, and look forward to sharing this with you today. So I will go ahead and share my screen. Okay, everybody can see that, I hope. Okay. Again, John Ezzo. I'm originally from Detroit. I spend my time between Detroit and Tampa these days. And today we're going to talk about um, what every emerging leader needs, and that is what is their personal brand and what's their personal story. It's not just about looking good on social media or LinkedIn. It's about your influence in your organization, being trusted by customers and your own leadership and peers within your industry, whatever industry that is. I know we have some guests that are from other industries. So the short story is, the power of personal branding. Um, so a key question is, what will people say about you when you're not in the room? So think about that for a couple seconds. And then, as Heather mentioned, today there's a worksheet in the chat that you can use to follow along with this. And by the end of this webinar today, you'll have a good outline of your personal story to tell. And we'll kind of work on that together as we get through it. So what is your personal brand? Why does it matter? It's basically your reputation in motion. And as I mentioned, it's both internal and external. So in your own organization, your company, with your team, with your leadership, with people that report to you, and then how do customers see you? How does your industry see you? And obviously that affects people, how they trust you, how they find you to be credible. And obviously that can affect promotions and future earning opportunities and so forth. So it's really important. So obviously, you all know, by human nature, we're moved by stories. Facts are facts. Facts are boring in many cases. So stories move people. They strike emotions. They create memories. Um, Stories get repeated. Um, so three essential stories every leader needs is, who am I? Why do I do what I do? And how do we win together? And there's a framework for that. It's called the hero's journey and a values-driven storytelling. And we'll cover that more at the end if we have time. But there's a slide in the presentation on that as well. So branding is obviously up to you. Everyone already has a brand. The question is, are you letting it happen by accident, or are you shaping it on purpose? Accidental brands can be inconsistent, sometimes even contradictory. So intentional brands are consistent, authentic, and aligned with values. If your company, and most companies do today, promote their core values, they have core values. Some promote them better than others, but you could align yours with your company's core values. So again, and you can do this on your worksheet too, the personal brand audit. So 3 words your colleagues would use to describe you. And then crafting a 60 to 90-second introductory story, and also a LinkedIn checkup tip. So the essential stories are, who am I? So that's your background, um, your unique perspective, and why do you do what you do? What drives you? What's your mission? What's your why? And then how do we win together? So how does your team, your customers, your partners succeed with you? And these stories don't have to be long, but they should be authentic and something you could tell in 60 seconds. So at this point, um, you could go to the worksheet and on why, on the storytelling, and number 3 on your worksheet, and answer those questions. 2 to 3 ideas that you might include. And I'll give you a couple seconds to work on that.
So John, do you have an example of what you typically tell, how you state yours while people are talking about theirs, trying to write them down?
Sure. So my mission always in business was to elevate people. And I was looking for opportunities to create opportunities for people to excel personally and in business. And that's why I did what I do. Um, and who I am, I'm a person of grace and empathy, um, and ambition and challenge. So I try to challenge people, but also do it with grace and empathy. Um, and how we win together is aligning ourselves around core values, so that we know how to work with each other and make an impact on all those people that depend on us internally, our customers, and so forth. And one of my favorite core values is transparency. So, tell it like it is, even when it's uncomfortable to do so. Um, be forthcoming, let people know where they stand. If something's not working, why it's not working, where we are today, where we need to get to tomorrow, and how to get there together. Again, all under the purpose of elevating people.
Thanks, John. Do we have anybody, any of the participants willing to share some of their storytelling ideas? It doesn't have to be perfect, but this is an interactive session. We'd love to hear what you all have to say. Anybody raising their hands?
Also, if you can't figure, oh, here we go. We've got Lewis. Okay, we will allow to talk. Lewis, go ahead and feel free to unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hey, Lewis.
Thank you, John. So the three words that we just did a similar exercise, so I just got the words that we got through that exercise that people say about me when I'm not in the room is, I guess there are much worse ones, but the ones that they gave me is authentic, authentic, committed, and driven. So the story is exactly that. I'm an immigrant, came to this wonderful country, believing that I'm owed nothing. I'm entitled to nothing, and that this is a great country and is the land of opportunity, not the guaranteed outcomes. And with that understanding, we worked hard. We deliver our promises, and we believe so much in that our company works without a contract. We are as good as the service we provide, and that's the driven part of this statement. So we win together by knowing what you need and committing ourselves to our customers' goals and working towards them along with our customers. That's it.
Any feedback on that, John?
That was amazing. And of course, I know Louise and his story, so that resonates well with me. So,
Anyone else would like to share? Looks like Andrea or Andrea.
Yes, Andrea, it's okay. Hi, nice to meet you, John.
thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, Heather, also. In my case, I have some questions about this because it's important because I have very soon I have a meeting that I need to present myself and my brand. So it's important. It's perfect timing. So in the moment that you said why I do what I do is you said like it is my mission, right? It's my goal, but it's my personal goal or is my business goal or my company goals is or you need to LinkedIn this or how it
Well,
works.
that's a great question. For me, you can ask my my wives, two ex-wives. The business was, a, a big priority for me. It was a big part of my life. I associated it with who I am. So I tried to, so this topic today is about your personal story, your personal brand. I tied mine you know, to my business goals and my values, to my business core values, just because it was such a big part of my life. And
Mhm.
at the same time, in my personal life, I find, ways to elevate people, even if it's just being nice to somebody that you just met on the street or holding a door for somebody and making somebody smile. That maybe they're having a bad day and you make them smile or make them feel appreciated or noticed. is an example of living a value of, why am I here? To elevate people, even if it's just for 30 seconds or just a minute. Or I hope that helps. So
Perfect. Yeah, helps a lot. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Jenna?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello. I would say that the three words that my colleagues would use to describe me would be fair, consistent, and empathetic. We're on the residential cleaning side of the business, and kind of the message that I impress upon all of my teams and folks is we never let anybody touch our hands without leaving us in a better place. So that's a big one for our clients and for our internal culture, for our employees. And for a little bit of background, I think a lot of that comes from I'm the oldest of 10 in my family structure. So I feel like kind of growing up that way with, 9 other people younger than me really made me drive to want everybody to feel the piece, being heard, being valued. So
Hmm.
that's what I think.
Wow.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing, Jenna.
Thank you.
Heather, I did put in the chat, if anybody wants to, is not able to speak and wants to put their thoughts in the chat, feel free. But otherwise, I mean, I feel like we could probably move on to the next question. And of course, if you guys have thoughts on this as we go on,
Sure.
feel free to put them in the chat.
Thanks, Martha.
Okay. All right, let's talk about the LinkedIn checkup tip. So, now that you've thought about this, and as you do, and as you work on this, be a good time to look at your LinkedIn profile. And that's the first impression from many people when they connect with you, or they see you post something, they want to know more about you. They met you at a conference, or they're interviewing with your organization and they want to see what you're all about before the interview. Does it tell the story you want it to tell? Is it clear? Is your headline clear? Is the about you section, is it human, not just corporate? Is your activity aligned with your brand? So this matters more than you think, because in business, LinkedIn is the most popular social media channel. And think about it this way: if you can apply what you're learning today to your profile, and be a lot more interesting for people. Maybe create some curiosity, create some questions for you, and more of a willingness to do business with you or work for you or include you in something. So when you're done with this, please take an opportunity to check that and make some edits and make it more human, more about you as a person. What's your story? So we did that. Okay. So this week, what's one action, one story you could practice this week? And keep in mind, if you don't define your story, others are going to write it for you. Volunteering, to present at work is a way that you can, our company had town hall meetings, and we would have different topics and ask the different leaderships on the team to present. Obviously give them some time to prepare for that. If you have a company strategic planning meeting and you want to take part of that to present, that gives you opportunities to practice that. And then any trainings or toolbox talks or any opportunity you have within your organization to speak with your people and share your story is a great way to set yourself apart. And again, if you don't define your story, others are going to write it for you. And then on that 60-second story, when you hear a story, people, a simple format to follow would be, what's the setup? I told you about where I was on 9/11 24 years ago. The conflict was I felt compelled to help, but as an outsider, I couldn't volunteer. So I found, how did I solve that? I talked myself into the Blue Cross, the Red Cross tent, and and asked if I could compromise on that and be a runner. So that was a way for me to provide value. And it's a great story. So setup, conflict, resolution, and how that creates value is a great way to think of your personal story that will resonate with people. And then we talked about your brand grows where people see you. So whatever industry you're in, look for opportunities to participate in that industry. Roundtables, conferences, trade shows. Obviously, with ISSA, we have great opportunities to present. And they're always looking for volunteers to make presentations or serve on a panel, serve on a committee to get things done. I'm on the Building Service Contractors board with ISSA. We meet once a month. Luis is on that board as well. I'm sure there's other board members on this. I hope so. But we're steering and directing content and speakers and programs to help the industry. So that's a way you can set yourself apart. So, and then internally, we talked about, your internal meeting strategic planning. If you're an EOS company and you have your L10 meetings or your quarterly checkups, those are all ways for you to participate and set yourself apart. Emerging leaders, if you're an EOS company, if you have Spire, like I have a friend that has a construction company, and he's the visionary, but he hasn't filled the integrator role yet. So he's got like all these people reporting to him. And so he's seeing which of his current leadership team emerges as that potential integrator. And he's got it narrowed down to a couple of people. I can tell you from how he looks at his people, it's those that really stand out, that seem to fit his values and the company's values. And that's an amazing way to get promoted and to really be able to make an impact. If you, I don't know how many are familiar with EOS, but the visionary, and I'm visionary myself, and I need an integrator. At the same time, I'm helping as an integrator for another visionary. And I can flip between those two roles. But they say that visionaries have 20 great ideas, 20 ideas a day, but only one of them is really good, right? So that integrator person is the person that helps sort through those ideas and which ones are in alignment with the strategy of the company and help make those things happen with the rest of the team. So in that case, in that example, and that kind of a structure, if you aspire to be that second in command of a company, that integrator, that maybe that chief operating officer, setting yourself apart to be trusted, for people to be confident in you, people really to get to know you, is a great way to put yourself in that position. So with that being said, is there any questions, or now you've had some more time, would anybody like to share what 3 words someone would say about you when you're not in the room? That's a pretty simple one.
Joseph.
Hi, my name is Joseph. 3 things people would love always say about me when I'm not in the room is that I'm authentic, helpful, and purposeful. So I do things, I'm authentic with who I am. I'm always ready to lend a hand with the best intention in mind.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that. There's a lot of people on this call. I'm sure there's others out there that have some good ones to share.
Donald.
Donnell.
Donnell. Thank you.
I just have one main one, because do we really truly know what people say if we're not in the room, right? But one thing that has been repeated is this: I'm a sponge, essentially. So I absorb the information and make it a part of my my daily routine.
Perfect.
Nice. Thank you for sharing.
Looks like Quincy shared 3 words people say about me: compassionate, engaged, and purposeful. Amar shared I hope people say I'm a problem solver, an innovator, someone who brings practical solutions to the cleaning and hospitality industry, connects opportunities globally, and raises the standards of our field.
I know Amar, and I would agree with that. So
Love that. And then David, I believe, has his hand raised also.
David, go ahead.
Hello. Hey, John, how are you today?
good, sir. I didn't know you were joining me today. I feel very honored.
Oh, it shouldn't be honored. I'm checking in on you so I can write a report on see how you did. You're doing great, John. Hey, I just appreciate what's going on. And a few years back, I was doing a project with a buddy, and he used the phrase for me, equipping leaders, connecting people and ideas. And that's kind of stuck with me for a while. It's kind of the things I try to do.
David, the people on this call need to know who you are, because the fact that you're on this meeting is really something. Please, 30, 20-second introduction, please.
Yeah. Well, I live in Colorado. I've been in the real estate business, facilities management, et cetera, for about, well, 30, 40 years, somewhere around there. I quit counting after a while, and been a part of ISSA in the past. It's been a while since I've been to a conference, but I've been in the property and asset management side of the business, and just have a great time helping people grow. That's what I love to do. So I guess that's why this friend used that comment for me. And in a week or so here, we'll be out in Detroit visiting John and his friends in that city, and talking to the world out there.
Awesome. Thank you, David.
Looks like Sean put 3 words I've heard: dependable, strategic, and decisive.
Nice.
Yeah.
An emerging leader needs to be decisive. That's for sure. This is good stuff. Y'all don't need to be listening to me. So let's get some more participation. That's really some good stuff there. All right, I can cover some more stuff. All right, so remember, some pitfalls to avoid, okay? Why would a brand fail? Why would your personal brand fail? So there's 3 reasons. So you need to, if it's not generic, if it's generic, inconsistent, or self-promotional. So again, it's not about promoting yourself. It's about what you can do to bring value to other people. So your brand should be personal, should be authentic. It should be steady. And as I said, focused on others. So people will follow leaders they trust, not ones that are trying too hard, if that makes sense. And again, today, you've already challenged yourself by asking that simple question: what 3 words would somebody say about me when I'm not in the room? Great place to start. And if those words are not what you want them to be, then that's where your gap is. And you have every opportunity to close that gap and make it so that people will say the 3 words about you when you're not in the room that really tell who you are.
So John, are you saying that in order to represent yourself, you present yourself, at your organization or just in general in a way that you want people to say these types of words about you regularly? So you're promoting yourself as that brand in your regular life and during your workday.
Yes. Yes.
Amar, do you want to come off mute and tell your 3 words? He's like, no.
It's kind of late for Amar. He's on the other side of the world, so I think it's probably like
Oh
10
yeah.
like 10:30 at night over there.
Oh, that's okay, Amar. Thank you for putting it in the chat. He said colleagues often used to describe me are innovative, trusted, visionary, and it's 9:33 p.m. there.
Okay, close enough. Okay, any other questions? Okay, I told you that we'd talk about that framework of the hero's journey. So again, it's a storytelling framework. So you know, you can start with ordinary life. Um, what's been ordinary, then what challenged you, what happened in your life, something you had to overcome, how you overcame it, and the result. And again, you don't need to be a novelist, but share where you started and what obstacles you faced, what changed, and that's what resonates with people. I know somebody on this webinar that is young and fresh out of school, and put herself into an organization with some real challenges, and she took on some leadership of a couple different departments at the same time, and just kind of like dove in the deep end of the pool. um and so she would have a great story of okay, so I graduated college, then I jumped in the deep end. That's the challenge of how to manage all this and how to learn in the real world, and how she overcame that, and put herself in a position of success at a very young age with little experience. Stories like that are compelling and resonate with people. Right now you're all thinking like, who is that, and she should tell her story, right? So again, stories resonate. Facts are facts. We need facts, we need numbers, we need a financial statement, we need job costing, we need all those things. But to move people, to get people to trust you, you need to work on your personal brand and your story. These days with social media and everything is 6-7 second clips of this and that. It leaves a lot to be desired as far as getting to know people and interacting with people. So this is a way you can set yourself apart and encourage others to do the same. And again, this series by SSA is designed to help emerging leaders grow, and put themselves in a position to take on greater roles in the future. So this is just one part of it. And you're certainly welcome to follow future webinars in the series, no matter what industry you're in, because it's all about leadership. It's not industry specific. So with that being said, any more volunteers or questions or ideas? Any stories to share?
Yeah, go ahead. Do it. Louis?
Yes. Now, just to piggyback on what John just said, what we try to do very successfully is using all the numbers, the dashboards, the graphics to communicate with corporations, with businesses, right? However, business are made of people. So that alone will give them like the business portion that they are salivating for, and the better you do it, the in better position you are. But then the stories that come behind, that's what creates the connection with each individual that makes that corporation or that business. And that's that combination between your ability to present the numbers effectively and to tell the story behind the numbers. That's a winning combination that it's very effective. So again, I corroborate everything John said, and it works very well, and it makes all the sense in the world.
Thank you, Luis. And up on the screen, I put that hero's journey and values-driven storytelling as an outline for you. It's there. And the last bullet point there, it mentions anchor and core values. So again, you can tie this to your company's core values, and I'd recommend that. Anybody want to share one of their company core values that they would like to aspire to personally, or that they do aspire to personally? I'll tell a quick story about transparency. So in my building service contracting company, we had like the poster child of our company. She started as part-time cleaner, then she became a full-time cleaner, then she became a day matron, then she became a crew leader, then she became a supervisor, then she became a project manager of a large industrial complex, 140-acre industrial complex, one of our biggest customers. So she was like, wow, that career progression, that rise up in the company, and she was like in the scrolling banner of our homepage on the website. She was there. She was like that person, and we would do um, our company town halls every month, and she'd always be sitting right up in the front, always participate. She was on our safety committee, then she chaired our safety committee, and so during the pandemic, when things were obviously a lot different, a lot less people on the site that she was working, and there was a lot less work to do, just because of a huge decrease in population. Um, she found a way to get away with a lot of time fraud, and had several employees involved in it with her. And we caught it, investigated it, and we just, we were devastated that somebody uh, that hero within our company was, you know, was guilty of that. And we had enough proof that she was definitely guilty, and the other employees that were involved. Um, so um, town hall came around, and she came in and set her stuff down at her usually place where she sits. And then we had her go into the conference room with the investigator and HR, to be dismissed. Um, and so I walked up in front of the room to start the town hall, as I always did. And I said, y'all are probably wondering where Ginger is. And they're like, yeah. So I told them what happened. And that was me living our core value of transparency, because it was, always putting it on the table no matter how uncomfortable it is. And that was a very uncomfortable conversation. And our town halls are always supposed to be positive, uplifting, motivational. At the same time, we have to live our core values. So I told the story, told them what happened. There was people crying. There was people mad. One of our team got in the back room, stood up and said, she didn't just steal from the company, she stole from all of us. We're family here. So that's just an example of living out the core values, and at the same time trying to elevate people. And and elevating people is our responsibility, if you accept that, whether they live up to it or not. To create opportunities for people to elevate, create opportunities for leaders to emerge. We can always do our part. Obviously, it takes two. That's an extreme case. And I've always said in life, the 80-20 rule, 80% of your team is probably great. It's the 20% that cause the headaches. So, focus on the 80%, realize you can only do your part, but we can definitely all do better by sharing our personal story, creating our own brand, and using that as a way to inspire others to follow us, to learn from us. That way, we create an upward movement of emerging leaders within our organizations, and within our own parts of the world that we all live in, and whether it's in school, it's in church, on a sports team, or coaching a team, or whatever we're doing in life. So hope that helps. Some real world examples. So.
Does anyone have an example of a struggle in transformation, like where you faced an obstacle and how you've grown from that?
Yeah, I actually wanted to answer the first question, and what you
Okay.
just shared, John, too, ties into one of our four core values, which is full circle unity. And the definition for that is teamwork consistent of partnership and assisting each other's success. Um, succession is really good, especially when you're talking about the janitorial industry, because not everybody, goes to college and school and say, hey, I want to be a janitor. So, it's good to be, invest in the people that you have, and, even back to the storytelling, telling, my story about how I started as a floor tech, at 16 years old, worked my way up, through the management scale. And, because of my hard work and dedication, I went to college and I was able to, hey, you guys got any work for me? And always get hired again, from the same company, whether I decided to fully make it my career or not. And then, once I did decide to take it seriously, the tools were here for me. So, I try to do the same thing within my team. Pretty much everybody I manage is older than me, which, was a challenge, towards the beginning. But, I try to learn what I can from their experience, but also, give them the guidance and, the education that they need so they can possibly be, more valuable to our company and step into a role, like I've been able to. And what was the second question, Heather? What the one you just asked?
Struggle and transformation.
Um, I'll let somebody else answer that one.
Looks like Quincy actually can answer that one. Quincy, do you want to
Okay.
come off mute? Thanks, Donnell.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So, Quincy Blaine, I'm a director for custodial services for Round Rock Independent School District, and I've been in this role about 2.5, going on 3 years, and majority of my career, about 20 plus years, was in the private sector. So hospitals, hotels, resorts, fine dining, you name it. So coming to the school district was a culture shock for me. So huge struggle, huge transformation. Instead of talking about P&L, you're talking about politics. And so it was a huge transition from, super, super business like to super, super friendly like. So it's just really hard to show that comparison. But at the same time, I struggled. And in Texas, we have the Texas Association of School Business Officials. I got in the organization quickly, started taking courses to try to get my certifications on the school side to really understand not just maintenance operations, but also, schools with all these different house bills and different policies that are coming out. And so it transformed me to be a better leader on the school side, with also incorporating my private sector experience, which a lot of the staff are tenured 30 plus years only school. So they're looking at different cleaning methods, different terminologies. They're like, what are you talking about, Mr. Quincy? This is like a foreign language. And so bringing them up to the 21st century, 25th, whatever, had to show them that, we're not in the 1980s, 1990s. We have to change our cleaning practices. We have to be more customer service driven for the students, for the teachers, for the community. So it really just inspired me to get more in depth in the school, district school side and sector, but also that organization helped me get accepted to MBA program, which I've been doing online. And I've been doing an accelerated program for about 2 years. I'm about to graduate in December with my MBA. So it's just getting understanding of school, how important it is, learning everything to help inspire, cultivate, and have the succession plan so that staff can be leaders, and I can continue to grow as well.
Excellent. Great that you can bring that private sector perspective to that environment. Speaking of education, my daughter graduated with a degree in elementary education, went to school, went to teach in this where she went to school in her hometown, and she lasted 4 months and said, "I can't do this because of the politics." And she said that, kids come to school hungry and dirty, and then their parents are complaining that they're not learning. And so she went out and started her own tutoring business. And that was before COVID. Ever since COVID, it's grown 500%. So yeah. So but when she told me she wanted to leave and be an entrepreneur, she thought I might be upset. I said, why would I be upset? You're come from an entrepreneurial family and you're going to use your education to make an impact on people. She says, I want to work with kids that their parents want to invest in their education. So anyway, thank you for doing what you're doing there, Quincy, in the school district.
John, it looks like Amar had a question.
Okay.
When we define our personal brand with qualities like innovative, trusted, and visionary, what's the best way to communicate that story so it resonates with different types of people, since everyone perceives others differently? And to take it a step further, do we almost need to think like salespeople to make sure those values come across clearly, or is there a better approach that you recommend?
Wow. Okay. Um, that's a big question. Um, Again, I mean, I think it's not so much selling it, but finding ways to communicate it. So internally and externally. So first, I mean, first you got to figure it out. What is your story, right? Um, so to answer Amar's question for all of us, I guess, before we close, pick a story that you'll share, and then, one action you can take this week on your branding, and then practice it, communicate it, use it, inspire with it. When you introduce yourself with it. Think about, so if you're an emerging leader, you're probably involved in an interview process to attract talent, whether it's virtually or in person. Think about using it to introduce yourself to that person before you interview them. Um, and in some cases, your personal story might tell them they're in the right place to interview, and it might encourage them maybe they're not a good fit. And think about it this way: if you get that out up front, it probably saves a lot of time and headache down the road. So that's another way in which you can use it. Um, so I guess in a way you could say it is kind of like sales, but I think to me it's just good communication, and setting the stage for what you're looking for. In that case, if you're recruiting talent, convincing a customer that you're there in their best interest, convincing the leadership of your company that you've got the company's best interest in mind, and that your values align with theirs. That's how I see it. I hope that answers the question. So,
John, we have another person that would like to speak. Looks like Josh. You can unmute.
awesome.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Josh.
How are you? No, I've been enjoying this quite a bit actually. My biggest transformations I've found, both personally and business, have always come after failures, right? And usually, the bigger the failure, the bigger the transformation. And I think us as humans, as people, nobody likes pain, right? And when you fail at something, you go through a very, it's uncomfortable. You don't like it. You just failed. But on the other side of that, right, is because it's fresh in your head. You're like, I don't want to do this again. I don't want to have to go through this. So for me, the always looking at the bright side of things, is my best transformations have always been after my worst failures.
Josh, what are 3 words people say about you when you're not in a room?
Oh boy. Hang on, I'm here with Charlie. Charlie, no, you don't want to, no, it's not appropriate for TV. I would like, let's go with determined, ambitious. I've heard risk taker before. Very positive, upbeat. Always got a smile on my face.
Perfect.
Perfect. All right. Good. Charlie approves.
That's cool. All right. How about somebody telling us one action they'll take this week to work on their personal branding?
Hi, can I speak?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, okay. Well, I think that one of the actions that I will commit to practice is it will be my my story, right? Because I want to practice my speech and everything for the event that I will have, and also because it will be facing one of my biggest fears right now, because when you was talking about we're talking about the all the how you facing, how is the transformation to you or for you. It's I came here last year to Canada, and because I was looking a safer place for my family, right? So my English is not perfect. So in my country, I have more than 10 years in experience and speaking public and everything. And I love that and enjoy that. But now it's trying to do it in English is so complicated, and it's like trying to be confident in that. And I think that it will be my biggest challenge now. And I hope that can be a very good. So,
Andrea, your English is beautiful.
oh,
Keep it up.
thank you so much.
Keep it
Thank
up.
you.
Keep it up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent.
I think we have time for maybe one more if anybody wants to participate. We love having that participation. Thank you to all of you for raising your hand, putting messages in the chat. We will be sharing the recording and the worksheet within the week. So if anyone has another question or comment before we start wrapping up. No?
All right, this worksheet that we put in there, I hope you took the chance to get that, because this is really easy for you to follow along with. So I encourage you to use this. And within minutes you'll have your story, and you'll have a plan to advance your story. And even when I said what's one thing you can do this week, you can start with your LinkedIn profile. So check that, and come up with your go through this worksheet and then go right to your LinkedIn profile. Would be something really simple you could do to get started. I'm excited for Andrea because she's going to practice her story in English. Apparently she has an event coming up where she's going to be using that. So that's pretty exciting. And remember this, if you don't define your story, others are going to write it for you. So it's up to you.
Well, thank you so much, John. That was an excellent presentation. Thank you all for coming. I'm just going to share my last screen here.
Okay,
I wanted to
I'll stop sharing. There.
Thanks, John. I just
Sure.
wanted to thank you all for attending. Just so you all know, the top 30 emerging leaders have been notified, so we will be announcing that publicly here soon. And we're excited to celebrate the winners, but just because if you're not a winner doesn't mean you don't have opportunities to participate in the Emerging Leaders programming. Being a winner is just a bonus. So I want to thank everyone for coming. Please join us again for the next webinar in October. And we will be seeing you here again soon. Have a great rest of your day and rest of your week and weekend. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.